Great leaders are often great planners. They see the future not as something that happens, but as something to be built. They create a detailed blueprint and then work tirelessly to make it real. Doing the planning is a core leadership skill. It means looking at a hard situation, imagining a better one, and laying out practical steps to get there. Kuan was a master planner. He didn't just lead his country, he designed it piece by piece with intense focus and determination. The defining moment came early. In 1942, he witnessed the fall of Singapore. He watched the British Empire surrender in days. The shock taught him a brutal lesson. You cannot depend on others for your survival. You must build strength yourself. That planted his lifelong mission. He vowed Singapore would never be so vulnerable again. Kuan was born in Singapore in 1923 to a Chinese family that had been in the region for generations. His early life was comfortable, and he was a brilliant student from a young age. He attended the top schools in Singapore, including the prestigious Raffles Institution where he excelled. His family had high expectations for him. They ensured he received the best education possible. This early focus on academic achievement helped him develop the sharp intellect and the disciplined mind that would become his trademarks. His upbringing instilled in him a belief in merit and the importance of hard work, values that he would later embed into the very fabric of Singaporean society. His promising academic career was interrupted by the Second World War, but after the war ended, his journey continued. He traveled to England to study law at the University of Cambridge. This period was transformative. He not only gained a first-class law degree, but also observed British society and British politics up close. In 1954, Kuan took the most decisive step in his political plan. He co-founded a new political party, the People's Action Party, PAP. He did not do this alone. He formed a strategic and pragmatic alliance with left-wing trade unionists, pro-communist figures. At the time, Lee was a socialist and anti-colonial nationalist, but he was not a communist. He knew the communists had strong grassroots support and organizational skills. He needed their help to build a mass movement to win power from the British. It was a risky alliance, a marriage of convenience, but necessary to mobilize the population. The PAP's platform called for self-government and end to British colonial rule. Lee, with a sharp legal mind and powerful public speaking skills, became the party's public face and general secretary. He traveled across the island delivering passionate speeches in English, Mandarin, Malay. He promised a more just and equal society. In the early 1960s, Kuan believed that Singapore's survival depended on merging with its larger neighbor Malaya. He saw a union as the logical next step in his plan. Singapore was a small island with no natural resources and a limited domestic market. He argued that joining with Malaya Sarawak, North Borneo to form the new Federation of Malaysia would provide economic security and a common market. It would also, he hoped, solve the problem of his own pro-communist opponents, as the central government in Kuala Lumpur was staunchly anti-communist. In 1963, after a hard-fought referendum, Singapore officially became part of Malaysia. However, the merger, which Lee had planned so carefully, quickly turned into a disaster. The central government in Kuala Lumpur, led by the United Malays National Organization, promoted a political ideology that favored the ethnic Malay population. Lee and the PAP, in contrast, advocated for a Malaysian Malaysia, a vision of a nation where all citizens would have equal rights regardless of their race. This fundamental clash of ideologies created immense tension. Lee's charismatic and forceful advocacy for his vision was seen as a direct challenge to the established political order in Malaysia. The partnership began to fracture under the strain of racial politics. In 1964, Singapore was rocked by two major race riots: Chinese communities, Malay communities. On August 9, 1965, the Malaysian parliament voted to expel Singapore from the Federation. Faced with the crisis of unexpected independence, Kuan and his team did what they did best. They made a new plan. The old model of being a regional trading port was no longer enough. Singapore had to industrialize and connect with the global economy to survive. In 1961, even before independence, Lee's government had created the Economic Development Board. This agency was now given a crucial mission to attract foreign investment and build a modern industrial economy from scratch. The EDB was staffed with bright, dedicated civil servants and was empowered to make decisions quickly and effectively. It became the central engine of Singapore's economic transformation. Lee's team, led by economic architects like Dr. Goh Keng Swee, decided to turn Singapore's weaknesses into strengths. The island had a strategic location and a deep water port, so they planned to become a global hub for shipping and trade. They invested heavily in expanding the port and building the world's first dedicated container terminal, anticipating a revolution in global logistics. They also focused on oil refining. Despite having no oil of its own, Singapore built massive refineries, becoming one of the world's top refining centers. Lee Kuan Yew knew that economic success was not enough. To build a strong nation, he also had to build a strong society. One of the most urgent problems in the 1960s was housing. Many people lived in crowded and unsanitary slums. The government established the Housing and Development Board, HDB. The HDB launched a massive public housing program, building high-rise apartment blocks at incredible speed. That did more than put a roof over people's heads, it gave them a stake in the country's success through home ownership. Another key part was the Clean and Green campaign, transforming a grimy colonial port into a pristine garden city. At the core was zero tolerance for corruption. CPIB was empowered to investigate any official. Severe penalties were applied. Civil servants were paid competitive salaries, reducing temptation to take bribes. This built an efficient, honest bureaucracy. The impact of Lee Kuan Yew's planning is impossible to miss. It is written across the skyline of modern Singapore. The results can be measured in stark, undeniable numbers. When Singapore became independent in 1965, its annual GDP per capita was around $500, similar to that of Ghana. By the time Lee stepped down as Prime Minister in 1990, it had soared to over $12,000. Today, it is one of the highest in the world. This is not just abstract economics. It represents a dramatic improvement in the quality of life for millions of people, a journey from poverty to affluence in a single generation. One vivid example of his detailed planning is the development of Singapore's water resources. Pioneering technology to recycle used water into high-grade, new water. Constructing desalination plants to turn seawater into drinking water. Another powerful example is Changi Airport. Comfort, beauty, flawless operations. In conclusion, Lee Kuan Yew's legacy is one of monumental achievement, but it is also one of complexity and debate. He was the planner-in-chief who rescued his nation from the brink of failure and guided it to incredible heights of prosperity.